The Sleepless Test, a tale of trust and tiny miracles in the bustling heart of New York City, where skyscrapers kissed the clouds and the hum of ambition never slept, stood the gleaming headquarters of Innovatech Solutions. At its helm was Alina Vasquez, a 38-year-old powerhouse of a woman whose name evoked both awe and envy in boardrooms across the globe. With her sharp bob haircut, tailored suits that screamed unapologetic confidence, and a resume that included turning around three Fortune 500 companies, Alina was the epitome of the modern female CEO, fierce, unyielding, and utterly alone in her high-rise penthouse. Divorced twice, childless by choice, she poured her soul into her empire, believing that vulnerability was a luxury she couldn't afford. Relationships, they were mergers at best, hostile takeovers at worst. But lately, cracks had begun to show in her armor. Sleepless nights plagued her, filled with doubts about legacy, about what she'd leave behind besides stock options and headlines. It was on one such restless evening, scrolling through a dating app she downloaded on a whim because even titans need distractions, that Alina swiped right on Marcus Hale. His profile was disarmingly simple. A single dad in his early 40s with a photo of him grinning beside a gap-toothed 5-year-old girl named Lily, both covered in flour from what looked like a disastrous baking attempt. Marcus's bio read, engineer by day, pancake architect by night, seeking someone who doesn't mind glitter on the couch. No flexing of six-packs or exotic vacations, just honesty wrapped in quiet strength. Alina, usually allergic to realness, felt an inexplicable pull. They matched, chatted late into the night about quantum physics and bedtime stories, and before she knew it, she was agreeing to coffee. Not a power lunch, mind you, actual coffee in a cozy corner cafe far from her corporate jungle. Their first date was a revelation. Marcus arrived on time, his button-down shirt slightly rumpled, his dark hair tousled as if he'd wrestled it into submission that morning. He didn't gawk at her like the others did, didn't probe for insider tips on the stock market. Instead, he listened, really listened, as she vented about a boardroom battle, his brown eyes steady and kind. And when Lily's school called mid-date about a forgotten lunchbox, he didn't apologize profusely or cancel. He just excused himself, FaceTimed his daughter with a silly song about brave knights and rogue sandwiches, and returned with a smile that made Alina's chest ache in a way she hadn't felt since childhood. By the end of the evening, as they strolled through Central Park under a canopy of autumn leaves, Alina realized she was in danger. Danger of falling hard. Weeks blurred into a whirlwind. Dates turned into weekends, Marcus teaching her to fly a kite in the park. She failed spectacularly but laughed more than she had in years, Alina surprising him with tickets to a Broadway show, Lily tagged along, stealing the spotlight with her endless questions. For the first time, Alina let someone into her fortress. Marcus shared stories of his late wife, lost to cancer 3 years prior, how grief had hollowed him out but Lily's giggles had stitched him back together. He never pressured Alina for more. He was content with the now, with stolen kisses in his modest Brooklyn brownstone and lazy Sunday mornings where Lily would climb into their laps with a book of fairy tales. Alina, ever the strategist, watched it all with a mix of wonder and wariness. Is this real, she wondered, or just another pretty facade? Her past had taught her that men saw her success as a challenge, a prize to conquer or a threat to diminish. Could Marcus, with his gentle hands and fatherly devotion, truly handle the storm that was Alina? Doubt festered, a shadow in her sunlit moments. It peaked one crisp October evening 6 months into their budding romance. Alina had a rare free Friday, no mergers, no midnight emails, and Marcus invited her over for dinner. Lily's been practicing her pasta twirling, he texted with a winking emoji. Come witness the chaos. Alina arrived at 7 p.m. sharp, arms laden with a bottle of vintage Chianti and a bouquet of sunflowers, Lily's favorite. The brownstone smelled of garlic and fresh basil, laughter echoing from the kitchen. There was Marcus, sleeves rolled up, flour dusted on his apron, guiding Lily's tiny hands as she stirred a pot of marinara. The girl, with her wild curls and missing front tooth, lit up like a firework at Alina's entrance. Miss Alina, you came. Daddy said you'd bring flowers for my hair. Dinner was magic, spaghetti slinging across the table, stories of Lily's kindergarten escapades, Marcus's foot brushing Alina's under the table in a silent promise. By 9 p.m., Lily's yawns grew operatic and Marcus scooped her up for bedtime. Stay, he murmured to Alina, his lips grazing her temple. Make yourself at home. I'll be down in 10. Alina nodded, her heart swelling as she watched him disappear up the stairs, Lily's head lolling on his shoulder. Alone in the living room, surrounded by toys and crayon drawings taped to the fridge, Alina felt an unfamiliar peace. The room was a testament to love's quiet labor. A worn couch piled with blankets, bookshelves sagging under well-thumbed adventures, a photo of Marcus and Lily at the beach, wind-whipped and joyful, but peace-bred paranoia. What if this is too good? What if he's playing a long game, charming the CEO for connections, for stability? Alina's mind, honed by years of cutthroat deals, spun worst-case scenarios. She needed proof, a test to pierce the illusion. As she sank into the couch, feigning exhaustion from her hectic day, an idea crystallized. Pretend to sleep, see what he does when he thinks no one's watching. It was childish, manipulative even, but in that moment it felt like survival. She dimmed the lamp, curled up with a throw pillow and closed her eyes, her breathing slow and rhythmic. The clock ticked softly, the city buzzed faintly beyond the windows, minutes stretched into eternity. Upstairs, the faint creak of floorboards, then silence. Footsteps on the stairs, light, deliberate. Alina's pulse thrummed, but she held still, a statue in repose. Marcus entered the room, pausing at the threshold. She heard the soft pat of his socks on the hardwood, the rustle of him approaching. Here it comes, she thought bitterly. The phone call to a buddy bragging about the conquest, or worse, snooping through my purse for business cards, but no. Instead, a gentle weight settled over her, the throw blanket from the armchair tucked with care around her shoulders. Then the faint click of his phone camera, not mocking but tender. Alina cracked one eye, the tiniest sliver, her breath catching. Marcus wasn't gloating, he was kneeling beside the coffee table, scribbling on a notepad by the light of his phone screen. Lily's voice, sleepy and small, drifted down from the baby monitor. "Daddy, is Miss Alina staying forever?" Marcus's reply was a whisper laced with warmth. "Not forever, Bean, but maybe a long, long time if she wants." He set the pad aside and stood, moving to the kitchen. Alina strained to listen, the clink of glass, the pour of water. He returned, placing a tumbler on the side table within her reach along with 2 aspirin. "Just in case your head's pounding from that board meeting," he murmured to the empty air, as if she might hear in her dreams, but it was what came next that froze her soul. Marcus didn't retreat to his chair or crack open a beer. Instead, he eased onto the floor, cross-legged, mere inches from her sleeping form. From her hidden vantage, Alina watched, transfixed, as he pulled out a small, battered journal from his pocket, the one he'd mentioned once, filled with letters to his late wife. But tonight he opened to a fresh page. His pen scratched softly, words forming in the dim light. "Dear Sophia, it's been a quiet night, the kind you loved, messy kitchen, Lily's laughter like bells, Alina's here, curled up like she belongs. God, she terrifies me. Not because she's Alina Vasquez, queen of the concrete jungle, but because she's letting me see the girl beneath. The one who hums off-key to Lily's songs, who burned the toast this morning and blamed the toaster. I catch myself dreaming of mornings with her coffee breath on my neck, of Lily calling her mama without me prompting. But I'm scared, love. Scared I'll mess it up, that my broken edges won't fit her polished ones. What if she sees the dad who forgets field trip forms, the man who still cries at your photos? Tell me it's okay to hope again. Tell me she could be the one to hold us when the grief sneaks back. Forever yours." Marcus, he paused, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand, then closed the journal and leaned his head back against the couch, against asterisk her leg, unwitting and trusting. A single tear traced his cheek, glistening like a secret. Alina's world tilted. The air thickened, her throat closing around a sob she dared not release. This wasn't a man scheming for gain. This was a man barring his scars, weaving her into the tapestry of his fragile family, not as a trophy, but as a thread of possibility. Shame flooded her, hot, unrelenting, for the test, for the doubt. How had she, the unbreakable, become so brittle? She couldn't pretend anymore. With trembling fingers she shifted, her hand finding his hair in the shadows. Marcus startled, eyes wide in the low light. "Alina, I thought," his voice cracked, vulnerability raw. "I saw," she whispered, sitting up, the blanket pooling in her lap, tears spilled freely now unchecked. "Everything, the note, the journal. God, Marcus, I'm so sorry." The words tumbled out in a rush, the test, the fears, the walls she'd built from betrayals past. He listened, not with anger but with that same steady gaze, his hand covering hers. "You don't have to apologize," he said softly, pulling her close. "We're all a little broken, testing the waters, but Alina, you're not just a visitor here. You're the woman who makes Lily's eyes sparkle, who makes me believe in second chances. Stay, not for a test but for us." Upstairs, Lily stirred on the monitor, murmuring in her sleep. Lena nodded, burying her face in Marcus's shoulder, the scent of him, soap and basil and home, washing away her isolation. In that frozen moment of truth, the CEO thawed. Legacy, she realized, wasn't boardrooms or billions. It was this, a hand in hers, a child's dream, a love that dared to whisper asterisk forever. The next morning dawned golden, Lily's pancakes lopsided but perfect. As they ate, Alina penned her own note in the journal's margin. "To Marcus and my little Bean, I'm all in. Let's build something unbreakable." And for the first time in years, Alina Vasquez slept soundly that night, not alone but held. The end, or rather just the beginning.